So we've got some major breaking news just in. Donald Trump has officially fired Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. This is a major development that comes after Noem's disastrous hearings in front of Congress over the past few days, where she was ripped apart not only by Democrats, but by Republicans as well. My name is Brett Meiselas with the MeidasTouch Network. Remember to hit subscribe now and help us get to 7 million subscribers. So Trump says that he is replacing Noem with Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullin, effective March 31st, and he's now spinning Noem's exit as Noem moving to be a special envoy role for some new project he's calling the Shield of the Americas. But make no mistake, Kristi Noem has been fired. After a disastrous Senate hearing this week where even Republicans turned on her, Noem became too radioactive to keep. Here's Trump's post. He just wrote, quote, "I am pleased to announce that the highly respected United States Senator from the great state of Oklahoma, Markwayne Mullin, will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security effective March 31st, 2026. The current Secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served us well, has had numerous and spectacular results, especially on the border, will be moving to be Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new security initiative in the Western Hemisphere we are announcing on Saturday in Doral, Florida. I thank Kristi for her service at Homeland, serving 10 years in the United States House of Representatives and 3 in the Senate. Markwayne has done a tremendous job representing the wonderful people of Oklahoma, where I won all 77 out of 77 counties in 2016, 2020, and 24, a MAGA warrior, blah, 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 blah. I think you get it right there. Now, Noem's position collapsed quickly after she made what was considered a cardinal sin during her Senate hearing the other day. She had told Republican Senator Kennedy that it was Trump's idea for her to do this $200 million ad campaign that she starred in. Trump, it seems, felt like Noem was blaming him, and he claimed that he had nothing to do with that campaign. Here's a post from Fox correspondent Bill Mulligan. This is from before the firing, and he says the following. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem is now treading in some dangerous waters. She testified in the Senate this week that President Trump approved of and was aware of a $200 million ad campaign that featured her prominently. Trump now tells Reuters in a phone call he did not sign off on it. Quote, "I never knew anything about it," Trump said. So that is what reportedly did it. It wasn't her horrific handling of natural disasters or her out-of-control use of ICE and Border Patrol, which resulted in the deaths of multiple Americans, but rather her blaming Trump for a massive ad campaign. So let's dive into the clips that ended Kristi Noem's career. Here was Senator Kennedy grilling Noem on the $220 million worth of commercials she made that featured her prominently. Play the clip.
How do you square that concern for waste, which I share, with the fact that you have spent $220 million running television advertisements that feature you prominently?
Sir, the president tasked me with getting the message out to the country and to other countries where we were seeing the invasion come from, with putting commercials out that told them that if they were in this country illegally, that they needed to leave, or we would detain them and remove them, and they'd not get the chance to come back to America the right way. That has been extremely effective.
Ask you to run these advertisements, is that right?
We had that conversation, yes, before I was put in this position and sworn in and confirmed, and since then as well.
Okay. Did you bid out those service contracts?
Yes, they did. They went out to a competitive bid, and career officials at the department chose who would do those advertising commercials.
And the people that you ended up picking were people who had formerly done your political work back in South Dakota. Is that right?
No, that's not correct, sir.
I think it is.
No, it's not, sir. The individuals who, I believe the careers who they chose were 2 different media firms. There's been conversation about their subcontractors, but we have no legal authority to look into subcontractors on work like that.
Okay. And you're saying that you're testifying that President Trump approved this ahead of time. Is that my understanding?
We had conversations about making sure that we were telling people.
No, ma'am. I'm asking you, sorry to interrupt, but the president approved ahead of time you spending $220 million running TV ads across the country in which you are featured prominently.
Yes, sir. We went through the legal processes, did it correctly.
Did the president know you were going to do this?
Yes.
He did?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay.
And one thing, Senator, I think would be helpful to know is how effective that communications has been. That
well, they
overwhelmingly
were effective in your name recognition. I mean, I personally just, I mean, to me, it puts the president in a terribly awkward spot, and and I'm not saying you're not telling the truth. It's just hard for me to believe, knowing the president, as I do, that you said, Mr. President, here's some ads I've cut, and I'm going to spend $220 million running them, that he would have agreed to that. I don't think Russ Vogt at OMB would have agreed to that. It's something we have to defend. I'm on the Appropriations Committee. My research shows that you did not bid them out, that you pick, in fact, one of the people you picked, the strategy group, Safe America Media was a company formed 11 days before you picked them, and that the strategy group got most of the money, and the head of that is married to your former spokesperson. Look, we all have friends who are qualified. I'm not quibbling with that. It troubles me. A fifth to a quarter of $1 billion of taxpayer money when we're scratching for every penny and we're fighting over rescission packages. I just can't agree with Madam Secretary. Are you still running those ads?
No, Senator, I did not have anything to do with picking those contractors. No politicals at the Department of Homeland Security did.
I understand. Are you still running those ads?
Career officials followed the competitive bid process for that.
Are you still running those ads?
I think the ads are due to end here in March, I think within a week or two. I'm not sure of the update. The one that is running is focusing on angel families. Have you seen that? It is the one that's talking about this is our why. This is why we work every day.
Okay.
Is for the angel families and their victims.
And that was just the tip of the iceberg. Here was Republican Senator Tom Tillis calling Noem a disaster, highlighting the innocent Americans being detained by ICE. Play the clip.
Security. So why am I disappointed with Secretary Noem? Because we're not going after enough people who did this damage at the expense of running numbers that Stephen Miller wants out of the White House. We just want numbers. We want 1,000 a day, 6,000 a day, 9,000 a day because numbers matter, right? No, they don't matter. Quality matters, not quantity, quality. And what we've seen is a disaster. Under your leadership, Ms. Noem, a disaster. What we've seen is innocent people getting detained that turn out are American citizens. I could talk about the culture that's been created here with Stephen Miller aiding and abetting. I heard first reports that he was the one that said it was a domestic terrorist situation where 2 people lost their lives in Minneapolis. I've heard that report. Maybe you can refute it. I don't know that we'll have time for you to respond because I'm giving you a performance evaluation here. I'm not looking for a response.
Now let's go through some other moments. Here's Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell asking Noem if anyone has been fired for the agency's failures. Play this.
Tell me then, has a single ICE agent or CBP officer been disciplined since you've been Secretary of Homeland Security? As we've seen women dragged through their streets by their hair and thrown into unmarked cars, people chased through the fields and factories where they work, public executions happening in our streets. Has a single ICE agent or CBP officer been disciplined?
Yes, they have.
How many?
I don't know the number. I can get that for you. If
Do you think that number is important?
I think that it's wise and smart, and what we're doing is accurate according to the law by doing those internal investigations through the process that's set up. There's an Office of Professional Responsibility that does the investigation, and decisions are brought before the National Use of Force Board, and they review each incident as objectively outside of that law enforcement encounter and then give a decision for it.
Has anyone been fired? Has anyone lost their job?
There could be.
Well, I'm not asking if it could be. I'm asking, has anyone been fired?
I'm certain that they have. That happens once in a while when there is a need for someone to be
for conduct related to enforcement actions?
We hold our law enforcement officers accountable and are grateful that they serve, that they put their lives on the line, and also recognize that when these situations that they follow their training and the legality of the course to how they interact with the public.
Here's Jamie Raskin asking Noem if she still considers Renee Nicole Good and Alex Preddy, the Americans killed by ICE, to be domestic terrorists. Noem refused to say no. Play the clip.
But only a few hours after they were gunned down by your agents, you called Renee a domestic terrorist. You said Alex committed an act of domestic terrorism. Alex's parents responded to your calling their son a domestic terrorist. They said the sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting. Now, I want to give you a chance before the entire country to correct your false and defamatory claim. Based on what you know today, Madam Secretary, were Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists?
Congressman, what happened in Minnesota in those two incidents was an absolute tragedy.
Were they domestic terrorists, as you said to the country?
My condolences to their families, because I know that their lives will never be the same after that happened.
Is that an apology for what you said?
We, in those incidents, offer as much information as we can from officers and agents on the ground in a chaotic scene that gets.
I'll repeat my question, reclaiming my time. Based on what you know today, Madam Secretary, based on what you know today, were Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists?
As you know, there's ongoing investigations that are being led by the FBI.
But you didn't wait for the investigation, did you? You didn't wait for the evidence. You proclaimed that they were domestic terrorists at the time. Why did you do that?
And you didn't wait to attack our law enforcement.
Why did you do that?
We're going into a dangerous situation.
Why did you call them domestic terrorists?
Is our ICE officers and our HSI officers that day risked their lives to protect that scene, so evidence could be reclaimed, so it could be used in the investigation. Because those violent rioters that were
So you're
there
proud of the fact that you called them domestic terrorists? Is that what you're telling America?
HSI officers put their lives on the line to protect that scene, so evidence so we could have.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But you told a lie about them. You said that they were domestic terrorists. Do you regret that?
I offer my condolences to those families. And again,
based on what you know today, were Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists?
There's ongoing investigations, and so I
So you still don't know? You think that's an open question?
I would think you would want there to still be investigations going into these situations.
Well, you stated the conclusion 2 hours after they were killed that they were domestic terrorists. I wanted to give you an opportunity to correct the record, not just for their family, but for everybody in America who believes in the truth and fairness and honesty.
In every situation, as facts come out, we relay.
You know, your acting ICE director, Todd Lyons, came before Congress. He said he had no knowledge whatsoever that Alex Preddy and Renee Good were domestic terrorists. None. This is your guy. He said that. He admitted that that was wrong. Why won't you admit it?
I'll tell you the investigation's still ongoing, and we'll.
So do you regret speaking before the investigation?
I would say that in those situations,
you regret that?
Chaotic scene on the ground, we relay information to the American people that they're asking for. And as the things change, situations change.
People were asking you whether they were domestic terrorists? And you decided that they were before the investigation?
As we learn more, we.
You don't want to say anything to their families?
I did. I said condolences.
For what? How about an apology for what you said about their loved ones?
My heart is with them, and we will continue to stand with them as they get a complete investigation into these situations.
All right.
Next, Representative Kamlager Dove asked Noem about her reported affair with her advisor, Corey Lewandowski, and notably, what you'll notice in this clip is that Noem did not deny the affair, even with her husband sitting right behind her. Play the clip.
Trump knows that this guy is shady. Corey has a decades-long record of physical battery, sexual harassment, illegal lobbying for a Venezuelan oil company, and bringing a loaded gun into a federal building. Despite being fired or removed from virtually every position he has ever held due to misconduct, he now wields unchecked, unconfirmed, undisclosed power over your department. This person has no experience running anything close to Department of Homeland Security or even advising someone in your position. He is unqualified, which again has left my constituents and I wondering why he is your top official. So Secretary Noem, at any time during your tenure as Director of Department of Homeland Security, have you had sexual relations with Corey Lewandowski?
Mr. Chairman, I am shocked that we're going down and peddling tabloid garbage in this committee today.
Reclaiming
and
my
ma'am,
time.
one thing that I would tell you is that he is a special government employee who works for the White House. There are thousands of them in the federal government.
So reclaiming
and
my
is an
time,
advisor
Secretary, it is
and has
okay for
no,
you to be
no
offended
authority
by
to
the
be
question.
making any
It is
decisions.
okay for you to
has
be
no
offended
authority
by the
to
question.
be making
But it is
decisions
also
and
a
putting
real
up your
question.
position. So what I would say
And
to
you should be able to
is
answer
that
the
what we do at the
question
Department of Homeland
clearly
Security every single
and without
day,
any hesitation.
every single day is to protect
If
this
someone
country
is
and to
asking
make
if
decisions.
you or any federal official is sleeping
have-
with their subordinate, that should
I
be
have-
the easiest. You should be wanting to answer that question.
Is garbage.
Because it is not about
It is
your sex
offensive
life.
that you have brought
It is
that up.
about your
So
judgment.
that kind of garbage
It is
has
about
been refuted
reclaiming
for
my
years,
time so
and
that
you
I
need
can
to
hear myself.
recognize-
Time belongs to the gentlelady from California.
Here's Representative Jared Moskowitz mocking Noem over a story that she fired someone in the Coast Guard because he forgot to take her blankie on her plane. Play the clip.
200 miles of border walls being held up by you. They had to bring in Tom Homan, pull out of Minnesota. I think the country needs a national divorce from you on biblical grounds. I mean, if Donald Trump was still apprentice Trump, he would look at you and he would realize you're the weakest cabinet member and he would fire you. And if the president said to you that only way DHS could reopen is if you resigned, I hope you would take him up on it. Now, I want to end on a happy note, Mr. Chairman, real quickly. The president gave all sorts of stuff out during the State of the Union. I don't want you to leave. I got you a new Coast Guard blankie, the one you lost. Okay, so this is for you. You don't leave empty-handed when you come to judiciary. Thank you, Mr.
Time,
Chairman.
gentlemen, is expired.
And now just to give you some quick insight on her replacement, Markwayne Mullin, he is, let's just say, not the brightest guy. Here's Mullin the other day talking about the Iran war. He called it a war, then tried to say that it wasn't a war. Play the clip.
Are there measures being taken not to eliminate other possible alternatives to leadership?
This is war, and we're taking out the threat. And if you're part of the threat, then you're a target. You know what we'd call not all the arrows, but going after the archers.
You'll concede this is war. You'll concede this is war.
We haven't declared war. They declared war on us, but we haven't.
War. Secretary Hicks said
Senator,
we haven't declared.
Just now, you said this is war.
They called it war.
They called it war. What I was saying, okay, well, that was a misspoke. What I was saying that they declared war on us, but war is ugly. It always has been ugly. But we're taking out a regime that's been trying to attack us for quite some time.
But you're not conceding this is war.
We have declared war. So if we haven't declared war, then I don't see that. The president hasn't asked us to declare war yet, but they have declared war on us. We're just simply fighting the threat that's been at our door for 47 years. I've already answered the question.
That ask could be coming. An ask from.
Here's Mullin at one of these hearings demanding that everybody say thank you to President Trump for being a strong leader. Just so embarrassing. Play the clip.
But you can't deny that this was a threat and an essential growing threat to the United States. And you want to say he's playing politics and you get the politics behind it, Mr. Peters? You guys are playing politics. You guys are the ones that are grandstanding. The president's doing his job as commander-in-chief. And I think at one time or next, we should say thank you. Thank you for being a strong leader. But there's no way in God's green earth you guys can ever give the president, at least President Trump, any credit. Sorry.
Thank you.
Sir, I'm out. I still got 49 seconds.
Here's Mullin in a 2023 hearing challenging the Teamsters president, Sean O'Brien, to a fight in the middle of a hearing. Play this clip.
Sir, this is a time, this is a place. If you want to run your mouth, we can be two consenting adults. We can finish it here.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect.
You want to do it now?
I'd love to do it right now.
Well, stand your butt up then.
You stand your butt up.
Oh, hold on.
Big guy.
Oh, stop it.
Is that your solution every
Hold it. No, sit down. Sit down. Look at you. You're a United States Senator. Sit down.
Active.
Oh, okay.
Sit down, please.
All right.
Can I respond? Mr.
Hold it. If we can, no, I have the mic. I'm sorry.
This is
hold
what
it.
he said.
Now, let me just remind you of some of the other Kristi Noem lowlights. Here was Noem falsely claiming that Alex Preddy was a domestic terrorist. This was despicable. Play the clip.
The White House has labeled the man who was killed in Minnesota as a domestic terrorist. Is that something you agree with? And have you seen any evidence to
when
back
you
up that
perpetuate
claim?
violence against a government because of ideological reasons and for reasons to resist and perpetuate violence, that is the definition of domestic terrorism. This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism. That's the facts.
Where's the evidence of his ideology, though?
Drew Evans of
And if you recall, Noem was also recently under fire for wanting to purchase the $70 million luxury jet with a queen-size bedroom, a bar, and 4 flat-screen TVs. There was the incident Jared Moskowitz had mentioned in which the person she's been allegedly having an affair with, Corey Lewandowski, fired a U.S. Coast Guard pilot after Noem's blanket was left behind on a plane. Noem would post things like this on her social media, images of paintings of herself on horses, asking which should be her official portrait. She'd always be dressing up in these different costumes, like she was constantly doing cosplay. And of course, she was disastrous in the face of natural disasters. Like when the floods hit Texas last year on July 5th, FEMA had received 3,000 calls from survivors and only 1% of those calls went unanswered. But that night, Trump and Noem decided to fire the people who handled those calls. By July 7th, 85% of those calls went unanswered. Not only that, Noem did not authorize FEMA's deployment of urban search and rescue teams until more than 72 hours after the flooding began. So all in all, just a terrible run in her position. So there you have it. Kristi Noem is out. A stunning development. She will not be missed. And I'd like to be able to tell you that we'll be in better hands with Markwayne Mullin, but I cannot do that either. Thanks for watching. Remember to hit the like button, spread the word, and help us get to 7 million subscribers. See you soon.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.